Some sentences don't just reflect your intelligence, they expose the entire mindset behind your actions. The wisest people don't display their depth by talking too much. They reveal it through the things they choose not to say. Most people speak to impress, to defend themselves, or to prove something. But those with real intelligence understand a deeper truth. Every word has weight. Words can raise your presence or silently damage your credibility. Stoic philosophy has echoed this for centuries. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that unnecessary talk scatters the mind. Seneca warned that careless speech is often the earliest sign of an undisciplined mind. When you choose your words with intention, you're not just communicating, you're shaping how others interpret your character. And that's why today's topic matters. Avoiding certain sentences doesn't just make you sound wiser, it actually makes you become wiser, more aware, more grounded, and mentally stronger. Today we explore 7 things an intelligent person never says. Let's begin with part 1. I already know that. The quiet trap of arrogance. This single sentence can instantly make someone appear less intelligent. It closes more doors than it opens. It exposes insecurity disguised as confidence. Most people say, I already know that, as a shield, a quick way to look competent or ahead in the conversation. But behind that shield is usually the fear of appearing uninformed. Truly intelligent people understand that pretending to know everything is the fastest way to block growth. They see knowledge not as a container, but as a flowing river. The moment you claim it's full, it starts to dry up. Think back to a moment when you were trying to share something meaningful and the other person cut you off with, I know. You felt dismissed, unheard, and suddenly uninterested in sharing more. That same reaction is triggered in others when you use this sentence, even if your intention is innocent. Stoic wisdom warned us about this illusion. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The obstacle to learning is thinking you already know." The Stoics believed humility wasn't weakness, it was the core of true intelligence. A person who knows everything can never grow. A person who stays curious becomes limitless. The truth is simple. Saying, I already know that, is rarely about actual knowledge. It's almost always about ego, an instinct born from insecurity, not wisdom. And insecurity leads to stagnation, missed insights, and shallow thinking. Intelligent people replace that reaction with openness. Instead of shutting the door, they keep it slightly open, just enough for new understanding to enter. Even if you've heard the idea before, the angle might be new, the lesson might land differently, or the timing might be exactly what you need. Here's what a genuinely intelligent person says instead. Interesting. Go on. I've heard this before, but I want to make sure I'm not missing something. What part of this stands out the most to you? These responses do one powerful thing. They keep your mind in learning mode. They also signal real confidence, because only secure people can accept the possibility that they don't know everything. And that kind of confidence earns respect. When you choose curiosity over pride, people open up to you. They share insights they would have held back. They trust you more. And most importantly, you grow mentally, emotionally, and intellectually. Intelligence isn't proven by showing how much you already know. It's demonstrated by how willing you are to keep learning. So the next time someone mentions something familiar, resist the urge to cut them off. Breathe. Pause for a moment and say, remind me, what's the main idea here? That sentence sharpens your mind. It deepens your character. It separates the truly intelligent from the merely prideful. Part 2. That's impossible. The sentence that quietly shrinks your potential. Few statements reveal a limited mindset faster than this one. It's not a reflection of truth. It's a confession of fear, and it stops your progress before life even has the chance to challenge you. People say that's impossible when they compare a challenge to their current abilities instead of their potential. It's a reflex born from old failures, insecurity, or influence from people who quit long before they ever attempted anything meaningful. But here's the issue. When you label something impossible, you hand your power to the obstacle. The Stoics rejected this mindset entirely. They believed obstacles weren't dead ends, but invitations. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the thing you fear often holds the very lesson that will make you stronger, wiser, and more disciplined. Think about the breakthroughs you've had in life. Moments you once doubted you'd ever achieve. A difficult conversation you survived. A skill you mastered. A challenge you overcame. None of those felt possible at the start. They became possible only because you stepped into them. That's impossible is just a psychological stop sign. The truth is that most impossible things are simply difficult things you haven't attempted yet. Intelligent people understand this. They don't deny difficulty, they refuse to surrender to it. When someone says, "That's impossible," what they're really saying is, "I don't know how yet. I'm afraid of failing. I'm judging the future through my past limitations." Smart individuals shift the question, what part of this is possible right now? What's the first small step? What do I need to learn to make this achievable? These questions move your mind from defeat to strategy. They pull you towards solutions instead of fear. And the moment your focus shifts, so does your future. Picture someone facing a big challenge at work, a new role, a leadership task, a complicated project. A limited mindset says, impossible. A Stoic trained mind says, maybe I'm not ready today, but I can grow into the person who can handle this tomorrow. This shift in thinking can change a career, a relationship, or an entire life. Stoicism teaches the dichotomy of control. You can't control the entire path, but you can always control your next step. Intelligent people don't obsess over the whole mountain. They move the first stone. And with every stone moved, their sense of what's possible expands. So the next time your mind whispers, "This is impossible," pause. Feel the fear behind it. Then choose a better sentence, one that expands your possibilities instead of shrinking them. What's the next step I can take? That's how intelligent minds turn barriers into breakthroughs and how the impossible slowly becomes inevitable. Part 3. It's not my fault. The sentence that weakens your power. It's not my fault feels safe in the moment, but it slowly breaks your credibility. It sends a message that you're shaped by circumstances instead of guided by character. Most people say it to dodge blame. It's a quick reaction that protects the ego, but at the cost of growth. Intelligent people see the deeper truth. Responsibility isn't about fault, it's about power. The moment you deny responsibility, you also deny your ability to influence, correct, or improve anything. Stoic philosophy teaches radical ownership. Epictetus reminded us that we don't control events, we control our judgments, decisions, and responses. When you say, "It's not my fault," you push control outward. When you say, "Here's what I can do better next time," you take control back. Think about the last time someone made a mistake but immediately defended themselves. You didn't feel respect. You didn't feel trust. You felt irritation because their excuses showed they cared more about protecting their pride than solving the problem. Now imagine others seeing you the same way when you shift blame. Intelligent people don't run from responsibility. They accept it calmly, clearly, without dramatizing it, not because they enjoy being wrong, but because ownership gives them leverage. When you own your part, you gain the power to shape your environment, your results, and your character. Blame keeps you stuck. Here's the truth. Sometimes it isn't your fault. Life is messy. People fail you. Circumstances break without warning. But intelligence isn't measured by how often you're right. It's measured by how effectively you respond when things go wrong. When things fall apart, the average person asks, "Who's to blame?" The intelligent mind asks, "What can I control from here?" That question shifts you from victim to creator, from powerless to capable, from fragile to resilient. Here are stronger alternatives intelligent people use. Here's what I could have done differently. This part wasn't in my control, but I'll fix what I can. Let me take responsibility for my role and adjust. These sentences reflect maturity, strength, and leadership. They build trust in relationships, friendships, and workplaces. People naturally respect those who own their actions without collapsing into guilt or excuses. Responsibility isn't about admitting defeat. It's about reclaiming authority over your life. That's why the Stoics practiced daily self-examination. They believed the strongest person isn't the one who avoids mistakes. It's the one who faces them honestly and corrects them quickly. Strength doesn't come from perfection. Real strength comes from accountability. So the next time you catch yourself about to say, "It's not my fault," stop. Breathe. Step into a higher version of yourself and replace it with a sentence that builds respect instead of shrinking it. "Here's how I'll do better next time." Because intelligent people don't run from ownership, they rise above everyone who does. Part 4. I don't need help. The illusion of strength that secretly makes you weaker. I don't need help. It sounds strong on the surface, but underneath it carries fear, pride, and a fragile idea of independence. It disconnects you from people, from growth, and from opportunities that could change your life. Most people say this because they think asking for support makes them look weak or less capable. They fear judgment, misunderstanding, or appearing vulnerable. But refusing help isn't strength. It's insecurity wearing the mask of resilience. Intelligent people know independence without wisdom becomes isolation. Stoic philosophy values humility, not stubbornness. Seneca reminded us that no one is wise enough by themselves. Even the greatest emperors, generals, and thinkers leaned on teachers, advisors, and communities. To learn is human. To evolve is necessary. Pretending you can do everything alone is the real delusion. Think back to a time when you struggled silently. Maybe it was a project, a crisis, a deadline, or a responsibility that grew heavier each day. Instead of asking for guidance, you pushed alone until exhaustion or resentment took over. Now imagine how different things could have been if you had simply said, "Can you guide me?" A few words could have saved stress, effort, and mistakes. The truth many avoid: refusing help is rooted in ego. Accepting help is rooted in wisdom. Intelligent people understand that collaboration doesn't weaken their value, it multiplies it. They know they can stay independent while still learning from others. Asking for help isn't surrender, it's strategy. It speeds up progress, strengthens relationships, and builds trust. There's another layer. When you let someone help you, you allow them to express their strengths. People feel valued when their skills matter. People feel connected when their presence makes a difference. Relationships grow when support flows both ways. Compare that to the person who says, "I don't need anything from anyone." They isolate themselves emotionally and professionally. They block opportunities, misjudge their limits, and burn out quietly. Their pride becomes their prison. Intelligent people speak differently. They say things like, "I can handle part of this, but I'd appreciate your perspective," or "How would you approach this? I want to learn." These sentences don't lower your worth, they elevate it. They show openness, confidence, and maturity. They show your goal is growth, not appearance. The Stoics believed virtue thrives in community, not isolation. Even Marcus Aurelius admitted he learned from dozens of teachers. If a ruler of an empire can accept help, so can we. So the next time you feel tempted to say, "I don't need help," pause. Ask yourself if you're choosing strength or ego. Then choose the sentence that elevates you, not the one that cages you. I can do this, but I can do it better with guidance. That is real intelligence. That is real humility. And that humility will take you farther than pride ever could. Part 5. I'll do it later. The quiet lie that steals your future. I'll do it later. One of the most dangerous sentences a person can say. It feels harmless, but it becomes a lifelong habit that destroys discipline, momentum, and opportunity. Most people don't realize this sentence isn't about timing, it's about avoidance. I'll do it later is an escape from discomfort disguised as logic. It lets you delay effort while pretending you're in control. But intelligent people know a painful truth. Procrastination is the silent thief of potential. Not because you can't do the work, but because you choose emotional comfort over long-term growth. Stoic philosophy rejects delay. Marcus Aurelius asked, "If you know the right thing to do, why wait?" To the Stoics, postponing action means postponing the person you could become. Hesitation weakens character. Action strengthens it. Think about the opportunities lost because of this sentence. A skill you wanted to learn, a conversation you avoided, a dream you postponed so many times it faded away. None of those were destroyed by failure. They were destroyed by delay. And delay always feels gentle at first. That's why it's so dangerous. I'll do it later pretends to be logical, waiting for the right time, waiting to feel ready. But readiness is a myth. Clarity comes from action, not from waiting. Intelligent people understand that momentum creates motivation, not the other way around. When you wait, your mind weakens. When you act, your mind sharpens. That's why intelligent people replace "I'll do it later" with something far stronger. I'll start for 10 minutes now. What's the smallest step I can take today? Let me do the imperfect version first. These sentences shift your brain from avoidance to engagement. They break overwhelming tasks into tiny moves. And once you start, even for 10 minutes, the psychological walls crumble. Imagine how different your life would already look if every time you said, "I'll do it later," you instead took one small step immediately. Small steps compound. Small steps become habits. Small steps build a future where discipline, not procrastination, defines you. The Stoics believed discipline is freedom because disciplined people don't lose years to hesitation. They act with intention, not excuses. With urgency, not panic. With clarity, not delay. So the next time "I'll do it later" rises to your lips, pause. Notice the temptation to escape the moment. See the lie hiding underneath. Then replace it with a sentence that pulls you forward. "I'll start now, even if it's small." That sentence builds a life you're proud of. That sentence transforms you. And that sentence is why intelligent people achieve what others only dream about. Part 6. That's just who I am. The excuse that freezes growth. That's just who I am. It sounds honest, but it's a cage disguised as identity. It tells the world you've stopped evolving, and worse, it convinces you of the same thing. People say this when they feel threatened by change. It's a wall built around old habits, old pain, or old stories they've repeated for so long that they start to believe them. But intelligent people know identity isn't a prison. It's a choice, and every choice can be rewritten. Stoic philosophy teaches that the self is shaped by actions, not excuses. Epictetus said you become what you repeatedly do. If you repeatedly avoid growth, you become avoidant. If you repeatedly stretch yourself, you become strong. Identity is not fixed. It's shaped one decision at a time. Think about someone you know who constantly says things like, "I'm just bad at communication. I'm not patient. I've always been like this." These statements don't reveal personality, they reveal unwillingness. And unwillingness is not intelligence. Now think of the opposite type of person. Someone who admits their flaws but doesn't hide behind them. They don't call it who they are. They call it who they're working on. Those are the people who grow, evolve, and transform year after year. That is real maturity. Here's the truth most people avoid. When you say, "That's just who I am," what you really mean is, "I'm afraid to change." Because change brings discomfort. Change demands honesty. Change forces you to face the parts of yourself you'd rather pretend don't exist. Refusing to change doesn't protect you, it cages you. Intelligent people never hide behind identity statements. Instead, they speak in possibilities. "I struggle with this, but I'm improving. This isn't natural for me yet, but I'm learning. I'm getting better at handling this." These sentences keep the door to growth wide open. They show awareness, not avoidance. They reflect a powerful truth. Intelligent people don't fear change, they expect it. Stoics saw identity as a living practice. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every day to act with clarity, honesty, courage, and discipline, not because these qualities came automatically, but because he chose them each morning. If an emperor of Rome had to work on himself, the rest of us definitely do too. Think about the areas of your life where you've repeated the same mistakes, the same reactions, the same behaviors. How many of them were protected by the excuse, "That's just who I am"? How many relationships, opportunities, or breakthroughs were lost because you refused to step beyond your old version? Identity isn't something you announce, it's something you demonstrate, something you build, something you refine through effort, not defend through excuses. So the next time you feel the urge to say, "That's just who I am," pause. Notice the fear behind those words. Replace it with something that empowers your evolution. "This is who I've been, not who I must remain." That sentence unlocks your future. That sentence honors your potential. And that sentence is why intelligent people never limit themselves to yesterday's version of who they are. Part 7. I don't care. The defensive wall that hides insecurity. I don't care. It sounds tough, cold, untouchable. But in reality, it's one of the clearest signs that a person cares deeply. They just don't know how to handle the feeling. People say it as a shortcut to avoid vulnerability. It's a shield against disappointment, embarrassment, or emotional exposure. But intelligent people understand that pretending not to care doesn't protect you. It disconnects you from your humanity, your relationships, and your growth. Stoic philosophy teaches emotional mastery, not emotional denial. Marcus Aurelius didn't say stop caring. He said care about the right things. To a Stoic, indifference means clarity, not apathy. It means choosing what deserves attention, not pretending nothing affects you. Think about the last time someone hurt you or dismissed something important to you. Maybe you told yourself, "Whatever, I don't care." But deep down, you did. And because you didn't acknowledge it, the pain stayed inside instead of being understood or resolved. Saying "I don't care" doesn't make you stronger, it makes you blind to your own emotions. And here's the irony, people who truly don't care never announce it. They show it quietly, calmly, without performance. Those who loudly say it often feel the most threatened by judgment or rejection. Intelligent people respond differently. They practice emotional honesty, not emotional theatrics. When something bothers them, they don't deny it. They examine it. They understand it. They decide how much weight it deserves. Emotional maturity isn't shutting down. It's responding with wisdom instead of impulse. Instead of saying, "I don't care," intelligent people say, "I care, but I won't let it control me. This matters to me, but I'm choosing my response. I'm affected, but not broken." These sentences show clarity, discipline, and inner strength. They prevent the emotional numbness that later turns into resentment. Imagine someone at work giving you harsh feedback. The insecure response is, "I don't care what they think." The intelligent response is, "Let me take what's useful and leave the rest." One reaction blocks growth. The other filters it wisely. Or imagine someone you care about pulls away. The defensive mind says, "Whatever, I don't care." The wiser mind says, "This hurts, but I'll handle it with dignity." One hides behind ego. The other stands in self-respect. Stoicism teaches caring selectively, not carelessly. Care about your character, your principles, your integrity, your actions, your peace, the things that actually matter. Caring about gossip, insults, or shallow opinions is a waste of your emotional energy. So the next time you want to say, "I don't care," pause. Ask yourself what you're really feeling. Then respond from your higher self, not your wounded ego. I care, just not in a way that controls me. That sentence shows true intelligence. That sentence strengthens your emotional muscle. And that sentence frees you from the illusion of indifference. At the end of the day, intelligence isn't proven by how much you know, how loudly you speak, or how confidently you defend yourself. It's revealed by the discipline behind your words, the restraint, the clarity, the honesty, and the courage to choose language that elevates you instead of limiting you. If you recognize yourself in any of these 7 sentences, don't judge yourself. Everyone has said them at some point. What matters now is what you choose from this moment forward. The person you become is shaped not by your past reactions, but by your next decision. Stoic philosophy teaches that the mind is a garden. Some sentences plant weeds, others plant strength, humility, wisdom, and self-respect. And every day, through small choices, you decide what grows. So take these lessons with you. Use them in your relationships, your work, your conflicts, your moments of doubt. Speak with intention, listen with humility. Protect the power of your voice because it shapes your world more than you realize. If this video connected with you, drop a comment below. I choose wiser words. And remember to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs it. Your voice is powerful. Use it wisely.